I own this plaid jacket that looks like something a used car salesman would wear. I keep it anyway. But for a long time, this jacket was basically how networking felt. Like putting on a costume. Smiling too hard. Collecting business cards from people I'd never call. Leaving events feeling kind of gross about myself. And it turns out that feeling is actually studied. When networking feels transactional, people start to feel like they're treating others as a means to an end. And that's one of the main reasons folks avoid it, even when they know it matters. If that sounds familiar, stick around, because the problem isn't networking, it's the approach, and that's fixable. Across my career, one pattern keeps showing up. People skills shape long-term success. I've seen it in high-stakes technical work, leadership, business, and family life. This channel is about solving the people puzzle. There are two schools of thought about how to network, and if you spend any time in career advice circles, you've probably seen them framed as competing ideas. The first, I think of it as the breadth-first approach, is what most people picture when they hear the word networking. Get yourself out there, attend events, meet everyone you can, collect contacts the way some people collect baseball cards. The logic is that you never know where the next opportunity is coming from, so the wider you cast, the better your odds. The second has become the popular counter-argument over the last decade or so. Go deeper, not wider. Focus on building a smaller number of genuine connections. Bring value to people before you ask for anything. Be a person in the network, not just a name on a list. I'm going to make a case for both. And more specifically, I'm going to make a case that doing one without the other is actually where the problem starts. For a lot of technical folks, the depth-first, value-driven approach is the one that makes immediate sense. There are some good reasons for that. The most obvious one is that it maps onto how we already think about our work. Most engineers, scientists, developers, the people I spend a lot of time with, got into their fields because they love what they do. They're motivated by solving hard problems and contributing something real. The idea of building a network by bringing genuine value to people, that's familiar territory. You're a contributor. That's your default. There's also something about the keep score mentality that rubs a lot of technical people the wrong way. There's an old networking principle. Don't keep score. Keith Ferrazzi frames it in a different way. The currency of real networking is not greed, but generosity. Those ideas tend to land well with people who already think of their work as service. Now, and I want to be clear about this, the depth-first approach can still feel awkward, especially getting started. Genuine relationship building isn't small talk, and small talk is its own skill. If you'd rather debug a failing system at midnight than make a conversation at a mixer, that discomfort is real. But it's a shorter stretch when you know you already have something in common with someone. You're just being asked to bring the same genuine curiosity you already bring to your technical work into a conversation with another person. That's a shorter stretch than it sounds. So if the depth-first approach feels natural, why am I making a case for the breadth-first piece too? Because without it, you're building deep relationships inside a very small world. And that limits you in ways you might not notice until you actually need your network to do something. Like when you're between roles, trying to break into a new space, or looking for someone who's already solved a problem you're stuck on. Sociologist Mark Granovetter studied this in a paper that's become one of the most cited works in social science. His finding: most people find new opportunities through weak ties, casual acquaintances, people they don't talk to regularly, rather than through their close connections. The reason is almost counterintuitive. Your close network mostly knows what you already know. Your weak ties connect you to different circles, different information, different doors. Ronald Burt, building on that work, describes it in terms of bridging structural holes. The people who connect different communities are the ones who see opportunities first, because they have access to information that doesn't circulate inside any single group. The practical translation: if everyone in your network works in the same building, the same company, or the same corner of your field, you're not getting new information, you're getting confirmation. Most of us know this is true, and most of us still avoid it. A few reasons for that. First, meeting a wide variety of people just isn't natural for a lot of technical folks. We tend to run in the same circles, same office, same conference, same Slack channels. That's not a character flaw. Researchers actually have a name for it. Homophily, the natural human tendency to gravitate toward people who are similar to us. It's not laziness. It's how social networks form by default, left to their own devices because it feels safer. Similar people are more predictable, and predictability reduces threat. Second, and this one is more specific to this audience, meeting new people when you have an agenda feels manipulative. If the only reason you're showing up to that industry event is because you're job hunting or chasing a contract, you can feel it. And because expanding your network is already outside your comfort zone, you tend to only do it when the stakes are high, which makes the agenda problem worse, not better. The result is that a lot of technically talented people have rich, deep relationships inside a very small network and almost nothing outside of it. That's a fragile place to be. You can't eliminate the discomfort of meeting new people by reminding yourself that it's important. Your brain doesn't really distinguish between social risk and actual danger. The discomfort is real, but the danger usually isn't. Changing the goal can make networking feel less dangerous, and the whole activity starts to feel different. Stop thinking about casting a wide net as collecting contacts. Start thinking of it as exploration. There are a lot of people out there. Some of them will vibe with you. Many of them won't. You won't know which it is until you actually talk to them. Exploration is the right frame because it removes the pressure of outcome. You're not trying to close a deal or secure a referral. You're trying to find out if there's something interesting here. That's a much more comfortable thing to do, especially for curious people, which a lot of you are. One of the participants in a networking workshop I ran said something that stuck with me. She said she was finding that transactional networking felt too surface level, that it didn't actually let people get to know each other well enough to be memorable. Her takeaway was that she wanted to understand people at a deeper level. That's the shift. When you're genuinely curious about someone, it doesn't feel like networking. It feels like a conversation. There's a second reframe worth making. When you reach out to someone new, you're not just extracting value, you're potentially offering it. Your experience, your perspective, your network, those are useful to other people too. The connection you're exploring might benefit them as much as it benefits you. You're not imposing on someone by showing up curious and genuine. You're offering them a chance at the same thing you're looking for. And here's where the two approaches come back together. When you meet enough people from a place of genuine curiosity, some of those conversations will develop into something more. They'll stick because there's something real there. Mutual interest, complementary skills, shared values. Those are the ones worth deepening. Over time, you invest more in those, the relationship develops, and you end up with something that looks like the depth-first model, but built on a much wider foundation. That's not a compromise between the two approaches. That's what the research actually describes as the most effective network structure. Broad enough to discover opportunities, deep enough to act on them. A lot of folks in technical fields consider themselves introverts, and for those people, networking is probably always going to sit a little outside the comfort zone. That's okay. I'm not promising it gets easy. But here's what I've noticed. Most technically minded people I know are genuinely curious. They like learning things. They like figuring out how things work. And people are interesting. The problems other people are trying to solve are interesting. The paths they took to get where they are interesting. That curiosity is already there. You don't have to manufacture it. You just have to point it at people, not only at problems. And if you shift how you measure success away from, did I make a connection, and toward, did I have a genuine conversation, the whole thing gets a lot less heavy. Enough genuine conversations, and the connections take care of themselves. If this landed for you, I'd love to have you stick around. I put out new videos on people skills for technical professionals regularly. Hit subscribe if you haven't, and check out the video on the screen.